President Biden champions new proposal.
We're making our border more orderly, more humane, and more secure.
To shut down the U.S.-Mexico border. A hostage situation in Fort Myers.
He started to put one of the hostages in like a headlock,
where they were held at knife points in a bomb claim. A father speaks up.
The first thing came to my mind is I'm gonna lose my son.
After his son was the victim of a stabbing. And players talking to the media.
It's going to take your best every single day. I mean, just any experience that you get in the Super Bowl.
Just days before the biggest game of the season. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Daniela Zuleta.
I'm Jason Harrow. Today is Wednesday, February 7th, 2024.
Live from the Lee Kaplan School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
Republicans on Capitol Hill opposing a border bill because they say it doesn't go far enough. A bipartisan group of senators have proposed a bill to overhaul immigration policies and tighten border securities.
President Joe Biden championed the proposal, but it faces steep opposition from some Republicans. Some senators have opposed the bill that would give the Department of Homeland Security the authority to shut the border if migrant crossings rise above 5,000 per day within a given week or 8,500 in a single day. The bill would also allow immigration services to decide asylum cases at the border.
A real lack of leadership on this.
This bill are essential for making our border more orderly, more humane, and more secure.
Passing the legislation may prove difficult as many Republicans worry it doesn't go far enough, and some think leaving current immigration policies in place could help them win key races in the 2024 election. The topic of a safer skies is front and center on Capitol Hill this morning, following congressional testimony from the chief of the FAA. As Kaplan's Kenneth Bueno reports, it was his first time facing lawmakers since the mid-air event on an Alaskan airline flight.
Capitol Hill laid all eyes on Federal Aviation Administration Administrator Michael Whitaker, speaking before a House subcommittee yesterday to address questions regarding air safety in the wake of numerous concerns.
The safety of the flying public is our mission.
For the first time since Whitaker gave his Senate confirmation in October of last year, he faced lawmakers ready with questions surrounding the Alaska Airlines incident in January, where a door plug fell off of the aircraft. The FAA grounded all Boeing 737 MAX 9s shortly thereafter.
Make no mistake, this was a close call. Too close.
The administration certified a more thorough inspection process of the MAX 9s and made changes to the way that the FAA handles commercial aircraft production weeks after the door plug incident. Whitaker addressed those concerns too.
We now have 20 inspectors on the ground in Boeing engaging with the employees in every phase of the manufacturing process.
Whitaker also answered questions regarding the current shortage of air traffic controllers and an expanded controller training system in universities across the country.
Increasing our controller ranks will help mitigate risks associated with controller fatigue. I'd like to see that. It hasn't been our initial focus. We're trying to work with the schools that are already sort of set into that space, but I don't see any reason why other schools, particularly those with a technical bent, can't have this program as well.
Kenneth Bueno, Caplin News.
This morning, the man behind the attempted bank robbery in Fort Myers is dead. 36-year-old Sterling Ramon Alavache went into a Bank of America yesterday armed with a knife. Alavache also claimed to have a bomb. He took multiple people hostage at the scene that the Lee County Sheriff's officers killed the man with a shot from a sniper at an intense moment for one of the captives.
he started to put one of the hostages in like a headlock, and he had the knife to her throat. SWAT team was in place. When he presented deadly force like that, our SWAT sniper shot and killed the suspect.
None of the hostages were hurt. Alavache was a convicted felon with a long criminal history. The FBI is now helping authorities with the investigation.
22-year-old Zachariah Doer participated in a pro-Palestinian rally on Sunday night on the UT Austin campus. Now he's in recovery after being stabbed in the chest and breaking one of his ribs. Zachariah's family and the Austin for Palestine Coalition have a lot to say about the attack this past Sunday in Austin.
He's in pain, he's in agony.
The father of a stabbing victim on UT's West Campus says the Sunday night attack was overwhelming.
Your son been stabbed. The first thing came to my mind is I'm gonna lose my son.
Nizar Dawar says his 23-year-old Palestinian-American son is recovering after being stabbed in the chest, breaking one of his ribs. Zachariah Dawar is not a UT Austin student, but had participated in a pro-Palestinian rally and was with friends in the area. Zachariah did not attend the press conference today, but his father says he asked him to share this message.
He said, Mr. President, Mr. Joe Biden, I blame you. I blame you for what happened to me. If you would have called for a ceasefire 3 months ago, this will have never happened.
Zachariah's family and the Austin for Palestine Coalition say the attack was the latest example of anti-Palestinian racism.
It is clear that the hate was a motivating factor in this stabbing, and we call on law enforcement to investigate it as such.
36-year-old Bert James Baker was arrested and charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Today, Austin police said the crime appears to be bias-motivated and will be investigated by the Hate Crimes Review Committee. New information from the arrest warrant shows Baker may have been drunk during the attack. The police report states Baker claimed to not know why he was brought to speak with Austin police detectives. Baker admitted to being an alcoholic and today having drunk more than the normal amount of alcohol for him.
All I want is justice for my son and justice for our people in Gaza.
The Muslim Coalition for Palestine says the Israel-Hamas war is at the core of this attack.
It's worth noting that the family who is currently grieving spent very little time talking about what they just experienced, and they were still hyper-fixated on the situation in Gaza.
That was Betty Cross from Key TV. The incident comes amid a surge in reported anti-Muslim, anti-Arab, and anti-Semitic incidents in the U.S. as the war in Gaza between Israel and Hamas continues.
A speaker from Miami interrupted during an appearance in front of the Missouri legislature. It happened during a joint session of the Missouri General Assembly yesterday. The protesters had a plea for peace in the Israel-Hamas war. It was during an address by the Consul General of Israel in Miami. The crowd had to be removed from the upper galleries by state Capitol Police.
Officials in Ecuador think they've pinpointed the source of lead poisoning in cinnamon applesauce in the U.S. They believe that the lead originated from a ground cinnamon processor called Carlos Aguilera, which is no longer in operations. It is unclear how the lead got into the cinnamon, but one FDA official believes it was an intentional act. Some suppliers try to bulk up food sold by weight by adding things like lead to it. The Food and Drug Administration has limited authority over the foreign ingredient suppliers who don't ship directly to the U.S.
A construction company is in shock this morning after finding what is believed to be a World War II bomb in Tampa Bay. The bomb was declared inactive after the Citrus County Bomb Squad responded to the scene. The M65 ordnance weighs over 1,000 pounds and was made in 1939. A team from the MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa Bay will dispose of the ordnance sometime later this week.
The Florida Panthers are back in action for the first time since the All-Star break.
That's still ahead, and so is this story.
It's going to take your best every single day. I mean, just any experience that you get in the Super Bowl is a great experience, and we understand it's a long week, but at the same time, we're here to play a football game.
The stars of the upcoming Super Bowl will meet the media. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew a girl so smart, so responsible, she must be a keeper.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Players from both Super Bowl teams are speaking to reporters ahead of Sunday's big game. With just a few days to go until the Super Bowl, the Chiefs and 49ers have officially arrived in Las Vegas.
As KVVU's Kevin Bollinger reports, both players are ready for the big game.
One of the overlooked things that teams have to deal with that go to the Super Bowl is the crush of the media. There are more than 6,000 media members from around the world that are credentialed for this year's Super Bowl, and they all want to hear from the star players. Take a look behind me, and you can see somewhere in the midst of all these bodies and cameras is 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy. It's just a small price you have to pay when you get to the NFL's biggest game. 10 players and each head coach had to do media sessions at the team hotels in Lake Las Vegas. As you can see, it was that mob scene with all the media crowded around to get insights on the game. Now, it's easy for players to say that you're approaching this like it's any other game, but this isn't any other game. It's the Super Bowl.
It was exciting to get here, and you see all the faithful, obviously in the stadium and just around town when we're driving through. You could feel just the Super Bowl excitement. So, I mean, as a player, that's what you love, to be able to play for some great fans and the excitement of the environment. So, we're pumped about it. I'm pumped.
It's going to take your best every single day. I mean, just any experience that you get in the Super Bowl is a great experience, and we understand it's a long week, but at the same time, we're here to play a football game, and I think having that experience will be great for us planning and getting ourselves ready to go for this game against a great football team.
That was Ken Bollinger from KVVU. The teams will hold practices today and tomorrow, and they'll do some final tweaks over the weekend ahead of the kickoff on Sunday.
Florida Panthers fans are trying to forget the loss against the Philadelphia Flyers last night at the Amerant Bank Arena. The Cats started off well, scoring 9 minutes into the first quarter, but the Flyers were able to make a wrist shot to the game into the next period. To the Panthers' disappointment, the Flyers took the lead 2 minutes into the third period, and the game stayed that way until the clock had struck 0. The final score of the game was Philadelphia 2, Panthers 1. The Panthers will host the Washington Capitals tomorrow night at 7 p.m.
Last night, the Miami Heat battled against their divisional and in-state rivals, the Orlando Magic. Both teams have floated toward the middle of the pack in the Eastern Conference this season, but the Heat were able to get the job done in convincing fashion with a 121-95 victory. Miami jumped Orlando as the 7th seed in the East with this win. They will remain at home tonight against the Spurs. You're watching Newsbreak, and we're coming right back.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Jason Arrow.
I'm Daniela Zureta. Get more news anytime at caplinnews.fiu.edu.